and it's a delight to be bringing you the Thursday installment of the program. Biggest discussion in Nigeria as of today is the issue around the new minimum wage, as Labour has requested. And as a matter of fact, it has been fingers crossed moment for many Nigerians, particularly workers, because as it stands right now, we do understand that as requested or directed by the president, the templates to help determine what will be ideal or feasible in terms of minimum wage has been submitted to the president by a Minister of Finance, who doubles as Coordinator Minister of the Economy. We are hearing now that there's a pretty good chance that at the next meeting, which is likely going to happen tonight, between the federal government delegation and representatives of the organized labor, of course, that's within the framework of the Tripartite Committee, the federal government is likely going to present 105,000 naira. Global Television has not independently confirmed that information just yet. However, it doesn't take away from the fact that in the days and weeks leading to this point, Nigerians have had discussions across board about the hardship that citizens are now grappling with and measures that can be taken to help tackle this menace. Some have argued that as it stands right now, 60,000 naira, which had been proposed by the federal government just a few days ago, can't even take a lot of workers home, because when you look at the cost of fare, that is, when you look at fare now, the cost of transportation, and then you look at the food prices, how that prices have skyrocketed, and then you look at cost of living in general, it means that the federal government will have to pay more. That's one argument. The argument, on the other hand, is that the higher the government pays, the more you're raising inflationary trend. So it's more like being between the rock and a bad place. That's how some analysts also see it. In any case, in the final analysis, what Nigerian workers and indeed citizens want is for life to be more meaningful for them. They want to earn not just a living wage, but a decent wage, something that can not only take them home and bring them back to work, but will be enough to give them a decent standard of living. So it raises questions as to what the conversation tonight at the meeting that will likely be called by the Tripartite Committee be like, what the direction will be, what the thrusts and the talking points will be. In the event, for example, that the federal government puts 105,000 naira in front of Nigerian workers, will it be accepted? If it will, the next question perhaps is, can the organized private sector pay, or will they agree to pay? Because there has also been the conversation around, if the federal government can pay, the state governments may not be able to pay. And then some say, well, both the federal and subnationals may be able to pay, but then there are concerns around whether the organized private sector will be able to or willing to pay whatever it is that's accepted at the center. But then again, we can only keep our fingers crossed and look forward to how it turns out at the next meeting of the Tripartite Committee. We're taking a break now. When we return, you will meet my guests. Do stay with me on the program.
With every government and introduction of new policies, businesses of all kinds and sizes seize the opportunity to evolve and redefine themselves. Business Point on Global Television is where we follow the money and put the facts and figures right in front of you. Watch Business Point every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. as Kikelamo Okere tracks all the latest developments across critical sectors. Business Point. This is business.
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
Get a shot in, squares it into the back. It's time for sports' biggest moments on global television. The headlines, scores, breaking news, and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses, and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns, and victories. Talk sports with the king of sports, Anthony Momadou. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Is the desk on global television?
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momadou on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the Palestinians. We are the Canaan because
that this country gets it right.
It's the Dex on global television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on global television. Let's stay on the Dex. For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Bigtalk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight,
what is the real responsibility of government?
Bigtalk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on global televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
In an ever-busy world, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first.
Are you a food lover? Do you care about your health and nutrition? Are you interested in exploring the diverse culinary traditions from around the world? Then look no further. Introducing Lunch Global on global television, a show that takes you on a delicious journey through the world of food, nutrition, and diet. So, whether you're a seasoned foodie, a health enthusiast, or simply curious about the world of food, Lunch Global has something for everyone. Tune in Mondays to Fridays and let your taste bud take you on a journey of flavor, culture, and discovery on Lunch Global. Bon appetit!
No, not allowed. No.
And to help us find some perspectives in tonight's conversation that focuses on where Nigeria is at the moment regarding the minimum wage conversation for Nigerian workers is a lawyer and President Yoruba Council Worldwide, Oladochun Hassan. He joins us live via Zoom from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Thank you, Oladochun, for making it to the show tonight.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be on your program. Good evening, viewers at home. It's a pleasure to be on your program.
You and I have talked about the Labour federal government deadlock quite a number of times. We've talked about how that we need to rethink how we approach issues around the welfare of Nigerian workers. But we have seen a handful of twists in the last couple of days to weeks. Tonight, to understand that Wale Edun, Minister of Finance, has eventually submitted the template that the president had directed him to provide 2 days ago. Now we're hearing a couple of things coming out from that development. Some say, well, the federal government has done an upward review of whatever it is it wants to present to the organized labor at their next meeting, which will likely happen tonight. What are your expectations in this regard?
Well, we need to clarify that the situation at hand is an hydra-headed situation, and it seems Labour is not getting its plannings very well because each time they lock horns with the federal government on a fire brigade approach and expecting a one-size-fits-all solution, and they hold the federal government with their jugular at gunpoint, via strike, there is nothing meaningful that can come out of such a horrid solution, because it will just be an haphazard solution. Because once the federal government reached a conclusion, what about the civil servant at the state, and what about those at the local government? Who's going to fight for them? So the majority of time, those that are at the helms of labor unions or the so-called Labor Congress and TUC and NLC, they both amalgam have not been able to have a clear-cut economic plans. It is not the sole duty of the Minister of Finance to come up with the payment plan, because if it is the duty and we are dealing with different ministries, different parastatals. Some of all these people that are in the labor union and all these people in their various offices in various levels earn millions per month. Majority of them don't even live on salary except for the lower cadres staff. So that is the much reason why that they can just call for strike, because the next morning they will have everything at their beck and call. They have a generator serving them. They have extra things. They have everything at their beck and call. And what the federal government is trying to do is just trying to pacify under duress. Not that it's conveniently admissible for the federal government during the course of negotiation. Because previous negotiation, even the previous negotiation of 18,000 minimum wage to 30,000, majority of states do not pay their money, cannot even afford it. So labor union don't even fight for those staffs or those workers. So that is the reason why I want to call that the labor union should stop this dragging and making it look like there must be a peace corps. But if there is a proper planning, proper economic planning, they will sit with the Auditor General, with the Minister of Economic Planning, with the Minister of Finance, with the House Committee on Finance. There will be proper and large meeting, not the tripartite meeting the federal government is doing. That cannot bring about solution. If Labour is talking about their own interest alone, and they are so concerned about their interest, and regrettably, as a result of trying to enforce their weapon, the weaponized strike, when they were wanting to effect that, they committed blatant criminal offense by shutting down the national grid. That is a serious crime. By shutting down a national grid, it's like you are shutting down the national security of the states, because that on its own does not even amount to giving you strength. And it's not reasonable. So my own opinion, I've always been at the loggerhead with the Nigerian Labour Congress. I see NLC as a political party in this discussion, not a union any longer, because they run a political party. They actually had their own candidate at the last election. So they are more or less an opposition. So whatever it is that they are doing, they are wearing two caps. One cap is that of opposition, the other is that of a unionist. But they are mixing both together to challenge the government of the day. If they need to fight for the entire citizenry, they will consult with us. They will consult with unemployed Nigerians, especially unemployed youth. We have in the majority bracket more than the employed people that are in the labor market that they are fighting for themselves. Because if their battle have been a self-centered battle, and each time they come up with a demand, from Oshiomhole to Waba and to this present leadership, there have not been any concrete laid down economic plan. Labor union cannot be well versed, well orientated, and the way they execute their strike is by beating workers with canes. That is abnormal. That is injurious to the fundamental right of those workers that they are trying to hold down under duress and force them to listen. Because if they are actually part of your union, you don't need to whip them into line with stick. So it's very, very uncalled for. And if there is a need for law to stand its course, even while we are seeing the fact that, yes, it's not the fact that I'm in support of the federal government, because I've equally raised it, that for the government to satisfy an average worker in this country, and you don't want that worker to steal money, that worker must be earning an averagely not less than 1.5 million naira a month.
Is that realistic given where we are now economically?
No, I'm coming. Because if we were to deal on what an average worker is earning in the same class in the US, it's almost of equivalent. We are working on the same hour, but we are not earning the same money. That's why people look for greener pasture to go and work for the same hours, and they will earn millions of naira and take it back home. That is why we are having a soup of people moving out of this country under the Japa syndrome, because the effect of the fact that we can pay it, we can. The only measures that will bring us to that pedestal is proper economic planning. What is hindering us is the yoke of corruption that has really been the albatross and the impediment to making life worthy for every Nigerian. Once we get it right, not for the fact that we can pay one individual who just picked a form of a political party, find his way to campaign, even by crook or hook of how the election went, within 1 month, that worker will be collecting no less than 29 million, including all his allowances.
Yes.
That worker is not working 5 days a week. He's only working 3 days a week. He's working based on his own convenience. He's not even supposed to even attend. Nobody is monitoring his attendance. And the same worker will be in charge of our national interest.
We are going to take a quick break at this point, and we're back in a few seconds because I have a lot more to talk to you about in the course of this show. Do stay with us, everyone.
Thank you.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Bigtalk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight.
What is the real responsibility of government?
Bigtalk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on global televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
In an ever-busy world, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you for staying with us on Bigtalk. Let's get going. Oladitu, I was just going to ask you about what you think of the next meeting of this tripartite committee. I know you are not very comfortable with the whole structure of the tripartite committee. You think that the consultation or the entire structure should have been broader than it is. But obviously, that's not what you and I can fix in the program tonight. But let's be a bit more pragmatic and realistic to look at what is likely going to happen at the next meeting of this tripartite committee, which will likely happen tonight, in terms of the kind of conversation they'll have, the direction of that conversation, and what the government is likely going to put in front of the organized labor.
Well, I believe the government is just prepared to pay under that force of negotiation power of I think the 60,000 is what they are pushing. And I just pray they don't go back to court to go and enforce agreement There is difference between agreement. We've had the previous labor union who are always talking about the 2024, the 2008, is it 2006 agreement or whatever?
2009, that's ASU.
2009 agreement. They usually refer to the agreement of 2009. I think this agreement will be the same repetition, and I'm not pessimistic about what I'm saying. It's just the reality, because labor seems to be blocked with have some speck in their eyes, that they are not seeing that this country is drowned economically. We just need to, I expect the labor to be the only watchdog. If labor are coming from the strength of the one of this administration to challenge the removal of the fuel subsidy, at the presentation of the Honorable Minister of Finance, I was shocked to my marrow to see 5.4 trillion naira as payment of fuel subsidy for 2024 budget, and they paid 3.57 trillion for 2023 budget. And Mr. President have told us that, the previous administration was more in the know to have removed the fuel subsidy, but it's ready to implement it. Then who's deceiving who? When we as citizens are already paying 650 per fuel, maybe per liter of fuel, under the false pretense of removal of fuel subsidy. That is why I expect the labor union to divert their struggle, because there was a disclosure. But they are very myopic, sorry to say. They are not thinking straight. They are just concentrated on 100,000. What will 100,000 do when the people that you are demanding that money from, that are sitting on the money, lack the capacity to manage the assets? What you need to do as labor is the fact that you have workers at the National Assembly. You have workers in every ministry of government. What are your workers monitoring? Are they not the workers that are the permanent secretaries that are taking charge and paying ghost workers? What are we talking about? We don't like to deceive ourselves, and I will not fall prey under that. I'm a unionist and I'm a comrade. I've led struggles when it comes to human rights and the need for social justice rights of the people, for students, for workers at various ends. I've always been at the forefront of fighting for struggle for the oneness and development of this country. So what I expect from labor is to come up with their own blueprint. Once you don't have anything, once you don't have anything, you fall for anything. Labor do not have any standpoint or blueprint. You are just painting money. Give us 1.5 million. We are negotiating 540. We cannot pay 450,000. That is stupidity, for God's sake. I'm sorry to say on here. You don't negotiate on that premise. You go with your men that are within the office of the Accountant General. You have your workers in those places. Who knows how much is coming in and how much is going out? Can't you organize a committee, a quasi-judicial committee that will superintend every ministry of government, that will superintend the Ministry of Finance, that will be that watchdog from the National Assembly? We need to create another body that will be a monitoring watchdog, and that's where I expect labor to be prepared. But they are not prepared within their own tenure. Each leader of labor, let me tell you, they use all these gimmicks. I can boldly say it anywhere. They use all these gimmicks to raise money for their own personal negotiation, and they earn more when they shut down the system, because the government will. Do you know how much was used to set up this tripartite committee? Have you ever had labor campaigning against 1 trillion that the SGF signed, that the 1 trillion should be used for the administrative setup of this committee? Who shared 1 trillion for just a common committee to discuss the issue of salary? Committee to discuss, is labor not paying their capitation fee? Or the members are not paying that? They have to wait for federal government to pay for them to attend a meeting. These are corruption everywhere. And I beg to disagree that if the NSC president stand before me, I will tell him that you are only deceiving us. shut all this deceit. Let us tell ourselves the truth. The federal government is not doing right because they messed up ab initio by not being truthful to Nigerians. And the fact that a lot of monies have gone down the drain into private pockets in the past. How are they going to recover all this loot? How are they going to now ensure that this relooted, this money that are being looted are not relooted by the present administration? And these have now become a recurrent decimal that we just do a garbage in, garbage out. Nobody is ready to sit down. If Labour are really prepared, Labour Union should be the one at the stopgap to the federal government. At every policy of the federal government, Labour and their members will get all the full detailed information, and they'll counter the government. There'll be a two-structure system. We'll have the Labour Union representing both the employed and the unemployed Nigerians. But the Labour Union seems to be so self-centered for themselves alone. And that's my own battle. That who is representing the unemployed Nigerian youth? That majority of them are outside there. Maybe you are not aware. I have them in my family. I have them all around. A lot of CVs are just being posted every day. Just go and see how much people died during.
Apparently, we are losing connection stream there with our guest Oladotunmu Hassan, ventilating on his assessments of the labor struggle.
National grid. What they committed by shutting down the national grid was a total crime in violation of the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Because for you to shut down a national grid, you are liable to a 7-month imprisonment, because that is a disaster that you just committed to the state. You don't put the state infrastructure in the hand of unionists. If it were to be declared, what Labour just did was a declaration of war and not unionism. We know when there's a limitation for unionism, because when there is strike, you allow major staple infrastructure that are essential services to be running. You don't shut essential services on the premise of one myopic demand of salary, and that salary is the height of their fight. Every other issue of electricity tariff is not on the table. Those issues are not gaining points on the table. The major issue is, oh, we are not collecting 60, we are collecting 100.
As we conclude, Oladotunmu, you're already making a very valid point. As we conclude tonight, you just mentioned now that Labour is always talking about salary increase, but they are almost not having conversations around electricity tariff hike and so on and so forth. But let's be fair to Labour. They made it very clear. They've said, in addition to whatever government is offering, another precondition for ending this strike, which they say they suspended for 5 days, is to reverse electricity to 66 naira per kilowatt hour, not this 220 naira that it currently stands at. It's one of the conditions. But I want to ask you this. Beyond the continuous, this cycle of continually increasing salaries for workers in Nigeria and the struggle that goes into that system, that process, what more should we do to ensure that the average worker in this country is able to earn a decent living?
Well, it's very possible for average workers in this country to gain, to earn a living wages, not a killing wages. Because what the Nigerian workers are currently earning is killing wages, because killing in the sense that whatever money they get, they use in paying debt. And they might anything any worker is doing in that an average one, and that has always been the issue. But I wouldn't want to be on the premise of lamentation. I want to be more on the premise of solution. And one of the cardinal factor is accountability. Let Labour draw up a
Okay, we're already tying it up on the show tonight, where hopefully we are able to reconnect with Oladutu Hassan as he makes effort to land on the narrative that he was driving just a while ago as to finding more sustainable solutions to this issue of the face-off between the federal government and Labour, which has become a recurrent decima. We do hope that will happen in good time. We do hope that happens, not just in the interest of Nigerian workers alone, but even those who are in the informal sector, because government owes it a duty fundamentally to provide for citizens. That's part of the reason we have government in place in the first instance. It turns out the technical hitch will need some more time to be rectified, but that's what we're leaving it on the show tonight, everyone. We appreciate you for watching this Thursday's installment of Big Talk. I'm Wiyag Mofwe. I'll be back here at exactly the same time tomorrow, Friday. Remain here on Global Television.